Alright guys, we're back. 4.2.2. We're going to talk about residuals plots today. It's going to build on the LSRL discussion we had last time. A residuals plot is created in order to analyze the appropriateness of a best fit model. A residuals plot has an x-axis that is the same as the independent variable for the data. So it's the same x-axis as the regular data. The y-axis of a residuals plot is the residual for each point. Recall that residuals have the same units as the dependent variable of the data. So the dependent variable is your y-axis. If a linear model fits the data well, no interesting pattern will be made by the residuals. That is because a line that fits the data well just goes through the middle of all the data. A residuals plot can be used as evidence that the description of the form of a linear association has been made appropriately. So what they mean when they say that is if you plot the residuals, it should just look kind of like that, not making any patterns. That would be an indication that you have a good residuals plot. That would be an indication that a linear regression is a good regression. If you ended up with a residuals plot that looks something like this, that's an indication that maybe you shouldn't be using a linear regression and that another type of regression might be more appropriate. Let's take a look at an example. Take us back to Desmos. We're going to look at the same data that we looked at last time on that number of hours spent studying and working compared to your test grade. And down here at the bottom, the blue dots is the residual plot for this data. Now, recall that, hold on, before I go on, in order to make a residuals plot in Desmos, it's real easy. There's a button right in here that I guess I've already clicked on. Right next to this E sub 1, it'll say plot. You just click on that button and then it'll put up these blue dots for you down at the bottom, which will be your residuals plot. So if we take a look at those, this is point 3, 6.6. So that means that person has spent 3 hours studying and that it is 6.6 points higher than the prediction. So in other words, this distance right here, 390, the prediction we would expect to be around 384. Let's see if I can get that to work. So there we are, 383.4. So there's the 6.6 difference if we compare those y values between the 90 and 83.4. So let's take a look over here. I can write on this a little bit. I've gone ahead and labeled all the residuals here. It's been done in red. It's all the same stuff you just looked at. Those residuals also show up in a table right beside your y values. So the question I have for you, which point has the lowest residual? How much does it have? In other words, what is the residual at that point? Number 2, which point has the highest residual? And this is more of a qualitative question. What's a possible explanation for this point? In other words, why do you think the residual is high there? Use your judgment on that. Why do you think you might have high residual there? All right, I'll see you in class next time. Be ready to talk about it. Thanks.